Hey everyone, and welcome to Series 2, Episode 2 of Just Be Chat with me, Ben Corbett. We're delighted to be back with 2 more interviews and a cook-along. On today's show, we welcome Sean O'Callaghan from Fat K Vegan, Tiff Williams from Vegan at Tiff's, and then we'll round things off with a cook-along with the Vegan Nigerian, Tomi Makanjuola. So, without any further ado, let's invite our first guest into the studio, Tiff Williams.
Hello, hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks so much for coming along.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No probs, no probs. So we'll start at the obvious place. For anyone that doesn't really know your work, do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So, hey everyone, I'm Tiff. I'm a huge foodie and the person behind Vegan Active's Instagram page. I share kind of a mixture of vegan recipes, product and restaurant reviews, and I guess like as many pictures of my cat Sebastian as I can get away with. So yeah, I just really enjoy kind of making Instagram quite fun and collaborative. So I tend to work with a lot of other people in the Instagram world on like giveaways or different challenges. So yeah, I kind of do this in my spare time alongside, working in digital marketing 9 to 5.
Nice.
So yeah, I guess this is like my passion project.
That's really cool. You've got to get the cat involved. I had my cat jump up on the desk when I was doing this chat once, but I'm no longer doing it from home, so it's very unlikely that Sufyan's going to crash the party on this occasion. Something I wanted to ask you actually, sort of based on looking a little bit at your Instagram. I recently saw a post on there where you were sort of discussing the difference between plant-based and being vegan, and sort of people maybe confusing the terms or not understanding the difference. But I think that it's probably worth chatting about, because I think a lot of people probably I don't know, is it a controversial thing to say? I don't really know. Tell me a little bit more about what was behind that post.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I decided to talk about the differences between veganism and being plant-based, as the two words are used kind of interchangeably and sometimes even incorrectly, especially if you're kind of newer to the lifestyle. So I just wanted to highlight that veganism is often kind of motivated by kind of ethical considerations, animal welfare or kind of environmental impacts, whereas plant-based is more of a kind of diet consideration, amongst other things, of course. But really just to say that veganism is kind of a lifestyle change, not just diet. As a vegan, or me as a vegan, I aim to kind of eliminate all kind of use of, animal products from all aspects of my life. So fashion, I wouldn't use products that have been tested on animals, and then I wouldn't support businesses such as zoos and whatnot. So I'd say, yeah, there is quite a difference there, and I just wanted to show the difference between them. But there are benefits to both, I'd say. But yeah, it really sorry.
No, it's all right. No, have you noticed your own sort of motivations change or adapt over time since you became vegan, or things that you became aware of that maybe reinforced the way you felt about the lifestyle over time?
So I went vegan 4 years ago, which was for the animals, after kind of binge watching like Netflix documentaries. And I quickly learned that, the environment and your health also is positively impacted. So that was really kind of a bonus for me, but I'm still kind of vegan for the animals first and foremost. But I guess like I have been exposed to new ideas, well, not exactly new, but other ideas that can be kind of connected. So like sustainability, I'm looking to learn more about, and yeah, lots of other areas.
I think what's cool is, meeting so many people from vegan and plant-based community doing the show, is getting to know that you've got this whole community of people that are all sort of pulling in the same direction, but often with different motivations. But all of those motivations are sort of met and catered for by it being part of a bigger collective. So, running Just Be Show, we get more and more people coming and talking about the impact on the environment and sustainability, like you're saying. And, if everyone's sort of living the same lifestyle, even if your motivations mainly for animals, if someone else's motivation is sustainability, they're still not eating animal products. So everyone's benefiting, even though their sort of motivations are different, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So in terms of your sort of cooking at home and stuff, because I've seen you do like lots of recipes and stuff like that. We've all had quite a lot of time in our hands over the last 6 months. Have you found yourself sort of experimenting more at home, or is there like a top ingredient that you're using right now that you weren't using 6 months ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great time for me to like experiment in the kitchen. So I have most recently been using oyster mushrooms. So I've used oyster mushrooms to create like a southern fried oyster mushroom, and also use king oyster mushrooms to create like a vegan scallop. So yeah, I'd say at the moment that is definitely like my top ingredient. Like mushrooms are really versatile in general. They soak up so much flavor and they've got an amazing texture. So it's a really good way to kind of add a substitute.
Mm-hmm. And can people sort of see like your mushrooms and how you do them and stuff like that? Do you have recipes online?
Yeah, so most of my recipes are posted on Instagram, just in the captions in general. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I know you also do some reviews and stuff on places that you go out to. So obviously most restaurants have opened up now. So where was your most anticipated place to visit as things were opening up?
I mean, living in London, I have like a super long list of places I want to visit. I'm very lucky. But I would say I'm really excited to visit Unity Diner. So that's a non-profit restaurant. All their profits go towards animal rights campaigning work. And I recently had their food at a vegan market, and it was so good. It was amazing. So I'm really looking forward to having like the more full experience, dining in their restaurant. I also know that they got broken into a few days ago, so I just kind of want to go along and show some support.
No, that sounds cool. Sounds like good. Like if the community can sort of get together and help them if they've had something bad happen. So, interesting you mentioned a vegan market. So, is that something you do often to get sort of a taste of things and to try things out before you go to a restaurant?
Yeah, I mean, I love markets because I just love street food in general. And you can kind of go around, if you're with your friends, like everyone can get something different, and it just works out nicely.
And where are the best ones that you go to? Which ones would you recommend?
Well, it's been quite difficult recently, but the most recent one I went to was Bohemia Place Markets, in Hackney. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, wicked. And if people want to see a bit more about you and follow along your recipes and your reviews and stuff, where can they find you?
So my Instagram or Facebook is at vegan_@_tiffs.
Perfect. Okay, well, thanks so much for coming on today. It's been really interesting. And yeah, please come back and we can chat again soon.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. Cheers, Tiff. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so cheers to Tiff for coming on, having a chat. Hopefully we'll have her back sometime soon. So moving on to our next guest, I've wanted to get him into the virtual studio for a while, so I'm delighted to introduce Sean O'Callaghan.
Hi, Ben. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. How are you doing, Sean? Thanks so much for giving up time to come and chat to us today.
Okay, and I won't say anything about how I'm jealous that you've got the better beard today.
Do you know what, mate? I've been hankering for a bit of salt and pepper in my beard for some time, so there's some jealousy going both ways. Don't you worry.
Okay.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about your work and what people know you best for?
Well, people mostly know me for being a chubby homosexual who eats plant-based food. It's all in the name. But I've been community organizer and a social justice campaigner and a supporter of vegan lifestyles for, I think, just under 10 years now, coming up to my 10th anniversary of being Fat Gay Vegan. And I've done that work through my blog, fatgayvegan.com, and through also running social events and markets. I ran the very famous Hackney Downs Vegan Market, which sadly doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And also events such as London Vegan Drinks and London Vegan Potluck.
Okay, wicked. And I guess it's interesting to talk to someone that's sort of been working in the community for quite some time, because I don't know whether you'd agree, but there's been quite a sort of move in the direction of veganism becoming relatively mainstream, more so perhaps in recent years. And you've got sort of new words coming around like flexitarian and reducitarian and stuff like that. It seems to be a lot more sort of wide ranging in people's motivations and the way they engage with the lifestyle. How do you feel about that? Have you noticed the same thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been vegan for 20 years, well, over 20 years now. So I've seen every aspect of veganism come and go. And it's exciting to see how much it's embraced by mainstream shops and magazines and media outlets. It's amazing to see the public perception shift that's happened over the last 20 years, even more so over the last 5 years or so. It has been like a seismic shift in how people react and respond to veganism, to the point now where people barely bat an eyelid if you talk to them about it. It's very it's become almost normalized. And so my job now as an activist, it used to be to get people to care about going vegan or be aware of what veganism is. And now my job is to not lose what veganism is about at the core of that mainstreaming, to make sure that we keep animals at the center of the mainstreaming of veganism.
And I guess that sort of links in a little bit to what we were talking about earlier, where people are coming with sort of different motivations, but even with those different motivations, you're still getting the result that you want, which is less animals being harmed, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, really, for me, I wrote a book that came out 2 years ago, and the whole sort of ethos of that book was getting people to go vegan and stay vegan. And I believe if you have a deep understanding of what vegan means and that you connect with it on a very personal level, that's more likely that you're going to stay in a vegan lifestyle long term. Whereas if you're just choosing a plant-based diet because you believe it's healthier for your body, and there's nothing wrong with that, or if you're looking at environmental concerns, it's easy to drift away from that. But if you're doing it for something that is centered outside yourself, it's easy to stick with it long term. That's my experience anyway.
No, that totally makes sense. And I appreciate you being so candid about it. We talked about the sort of mainstreaming of veganism. I'm interested to know, like someone that's so engaged with the community, what do you think is the driving force behind it? Do you think it's sort of a generation of people that were more engaged with it sort of growing into decision-making roles, or is it, I don't know. I'm just interested to speculate really about what you think might have been the driving force behind it.
Well, not to be big-headed, although I can't help it because I do have a big head, but you know, people like myself and countless other vegan activists have been working tirelessly for decades to raise the profile of veganism. I mean, we've got people from 70 years ago who were pushing the vegan agenda, or pioneer businesses such as Miss Cupcake in London, and people all around the world who have fought really hard to improve outcomes for animals. And so this reaction from mainstream companies that you're seeing is a direct result. Now, it's been a long-term result, but it's a direct result of the hard work that vegan activists have done to improve outcomes for animals. As more people become aware and see that they have, they can make a personal difference in the outcome for animals, and then they start using their money to do so, companies who want to make a lot of money respond to that. Okay,
and interestingly, talking about companies, that I sort of wanted to get almost like a perspective on the corporate shift as well, because I know that you work with a lot of brands and have done for a number of years, and you talk about running the market and stuff. one of the things that I've certainly noticed over the last year or so is supermarkets white labeling, positioning themselves within the plant-based boom. Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think it leads to more choice, less choice? Should we be trying to support independent brands? Should we be encouraging it? What are your feelings on that?
Well, it's very tricky because it's a tricky thing to answer because I'm in a position where I promote all vegan products, whether they're from Tesco or whether they're from an independent artisan cheesemaker in Hackney. I try and get the information out about everything. But I also, from an anti-oppression point of view, I'm very much in people supporting independent business, local businesses. That sort of lifestyle and that sort of spending it's not anti-capitalist because we all still live in a capitalist society, but it's keeping cash and money and livelihoods in our own communities. As soon as you spend money with a big company such as Tesco, that money straight away leaves your community. Now, I know that the big companies have all sorts of things in place where they're talking about giving back, but the truth is the only way to really protect your livelihood and your neighborhood and your neighbors to the best of your ability as a consumer is to spend with independently owned vegan businesses.
Okay, thanks. That's really interesting. It's sort of, like I say, it's such a developing and shifting field at the moment that it's really cool to get your opinion on that. And something I'm asking everyone because it just seems relevant right now. We've all had so much time on our hands to reflect over the last 6 months. Have you noticed your own habits changing? Have you discovered anything new in the last few months? What have you done with the extra time that we've sort of found ourselves with?
Well, I've had to move back from Mexico where I was living because of the coronavirus. But every month I write a column for Vegan Life magazine. I've been doing that for several years now. I'm one of their regular columnists. And funny you should mention that, but the column in this month's episode, am I allowed to hold it up on screen?
Oh, of course. Yeah, do it. Why not?
Okay. So in the latest episode of Vegan Life magazine, I've written a story about how vegans have had to stay connected during this pandemic and how we've used the internet. And I've noticed myself trying to be a lot more creative online. I used to rely a lot more on face-to-face interactions with people and social events, and it's all gone digital again. Something that probably before coronavirus, we all thought was maybe not in our best interest. We thought that, being face-to-face with people was better for us, but actually virtual lifelines have become the thing that have kept vegans in touch with each other and, allowed us to socialize during the pandemic. I've also started some new jobs because being self-employed vegan know-it-all doesn't pay well during COVID crisis, who would believe. But I've started working with not a new vegan restaurant, but a vegan restaurant that just opened again called Make No Bones. And they're in Sheffield, where I now live. And today is their grand reopening. And they had to close because of the lockdown. And now they've reopened again after 6 months. So I'm trying to diversify, support independent businesses and keep vegans connected, which is what I've always tried to do.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I totally can relate to what you're saying in terms of, what do? We run vegan events where we meet people face to face. We were in a situation where we're not going to do that until next year. And us chatting here right now is a result of us wanting to stay connected to people, wanting to connect people together in the community. And, no one's going to say that the pandemic is a good thing in any way whatsoever. But there are certain things and certain behaviors that come out of it and certain connections that perhaps we've made that we wouldn't have previously, I think.
And you people are, you're running a business, much like I have to make a living. And these ways are not only, we're not trying to say we're doing it out of the goodness of our heart only, but, these sorts of ways of connecting are ways of us surviving and paying our bills as well. So everybody's got to find new ways of socializing, making money. It's a whole new world. And we can just do our best.
Yeah, hopefully we're going down the right path by talking today and everyone watching. So if just a really interesting sort of question to finish off, if you could click your fingers right now and create the perfect vegan product, what would it be? Something that you've never found before or you feel like hasn't been done well yet? What's the thing that you would love to see?
I think everything exists that I like. I have a bit of an issue with eating too much sugar. So if somebody could create something that tasted exactly like sugar, no artificial sweeteners that were tested on animals or had detrimental side effects, I would pay handsomely for that.
Sounds perfect. Okay, so I mean, you mentioned the stuff that you've got going on, but do you want to give us one last sort of plug of the article and the opening and stuff, and let people know where they can find you online?
Yeah, well, read my article every month in Vegan Life magazine. I'm just sitting down today actually to write my next piece. Follow Make No Bones, which is MNB Vegan, on all the social media. Now I'm working with them to promote their vegan business, and they're a vegan pub now as well. And all over social media, it's just @FatGayVegan.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for spending your time chatting to us today, and please come back. Let's do it again.
Thanks so much, Ben.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Okay, so thanks for Sean for coming by. And finally today, we have a cook-along. So I'd like to introduce with our first appearance on the show, Tomi Makanjuola, the Vegan Nigerian.
Hey guys, my name's Tomi, and today I'm going to be showing you a recipe that I sort of dreamt up. Now, if you're familiar with Nigerian food, you know moi moi is like a steamed bean pudding which is made by blending beans with peppers and spices and onions, and then you steam it, normally in a banana leaf. That's a traditional way. Or if you don't have access to that, you can also steam it in ramekins. Now, some of you may know I've been gardening throughout lockdown, growing things like kale and lettuce and all kinds of greens. And I've been, I guess, thinking of creative ways to use them up in recipes. And this recipe today is exactly one of those that I have thought of, want to try and see if it works. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to get on with the recipe, and I hope you enjoy it. I've already got my beans soaking. These are just brown honey beans. You can find them at any sort of Nigerian food shop or African food shop. And I have soaked them overnight, and I've also peeled them. Now, I haven't shown you on camera the process of peeling the beans, but I have another video for akara, which is another bean-based snack. And I show you the process of how I peel my beans as well. So you can go watch it, or you can even just Google peeling beans. But basically, just to give you a rundown, you soak the beans for a while, and then you just rub them between the palms of your hands like that to get the skin off the beans. And what you're left with, hopefully, is just the nice interior. As you can see, nice and white. And the reason why I'm peeling it for this recipe is because I want it to take on the green color, sort of unadulterated, and this will make for a good base. So I've got here about 1 cup of the beans soaked, which means you need to start off with about half a cup of beans because it does swell up as you soak it. So this is the equivalent now of 1 full cup of beans peeled and soaked. And then I've already cut some kale from the garden this morning, and I've given it a wash. And oh gosh, I haven't even measured this, but it's like, just to give you a visual, it's like a really good handful. It's like a huge overflowing handful. So whatever measurement you want to take from that. So there's my kale, which I will be blending together with the beans. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what the next step is. Okay, so I have added the kale and the beans into this nifty little hand blender thing that I have. And in addition to that, I've added 1 cup of water, just ordinary cold water. And I'm going to go ahead and blend this now. So I have finished blending my beans and kale. And remember, it was with 1 cup of water. So I'm hoping that this hasn't made it too watery, but we're going to see in a second, and then we can add our seasoning and get steaming. All right, so this is our base for the moi moi, and I'm actually going to grab a spoon so I can show you the consistency of the batter. Okay. So it's fairly runny, but it's not too dissimilar from a normal moi moi batter. So I think we're good. I think we got the ratio right. Right, so to this, I am just going to season with some salt. I'm going to season it with 1 stock cube that I'm just going to crumble in there. And then I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of sunflower oil. So I'm going to add that to the mixture now, and then we'll go to the next step. My batter has been seasoned now with a bit of salt, 1 stock cube, vegetable stock cube, a little bit of chili powder, and 2 tablespoons of sunflower oil. That's all I've added to this. And now we're ready to steam. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any banana leaves at home. Otherwise, I would have shown you the process of how to fold it and steam in the banana leaf. But unfortunately, I don't have any. So instead, I'm going to be using my little ramekins, and this is sort of the size you want to go for. And all you do is you just lightly grease the insides of them. If you have a little bit of parchment paper, you can put a round at the bottom. This just helps it when you're unmolding it, I guess, because I have had situations in the past where it's stuck a little bit, and it's very hard to take out after it's steamed. So if you have some parchment paper or even a tiny bit of foil, you can just use that to line the bottom. And then now I'm going to pour my batter into these ramekins, and I'm going to steam them on the stove just with a big pot, which I'm going to fill partway with water, maybe going up to halfway up the ramekin. And then I'm going to just steam it for about 30 minutes. We're going to try 30 minutes first and see what it looks like. If it needs a bit more time, I'll add on a bit more time and I'll let you know. But we'll start with 30 minutes of steaming our green. All right, so I've ended up with 4 of these ramekins filled about 3/4 of the way up, and they are so stinking cute. Cannot wait. This is the pot that I'm going to be using to steam my moi moi. I've filled it just a little bit way up with some water. I'm going to place the ramekins in there, and also just a sheet of foil is going to go on the bottom, and that's just going to protect the bottom of the pan. I'm going to lay the ramekins on top, cover it with the lid, and on medium-high heat, leave it to steam for up to 13 minutes. And I can't wait to show you guys the results. So I'll check back in with you guys when they're done. Okay, it has been 13 minutes, and oh my goodness, I think it's ready. This one got a bit stuck to the foil, but yeah, I think we're there. as you guys just saw from that little preview in the pot, the moi mois are done and they have turned out so wonderful. My goodness. So I've taken the roughest looking one because I want to actually take a picture with the nicer looking ones. As you can see, this one got a bit stuck to the foil and so some of it peeled off and whatever. And so normally what I like to do is to leave the moi moi to cool down for a few minutes, maybe like 20-25 minutes, and this will allow it to solidify a little bit more before serving. But I'm just so curious that I want to try it as it is, so I'm just going to have a sneaky little taste now on camera to let you guys know what it tastes like. So good. Honestly, you can't even tell that there's kale in this, aside from the color. Let's see. Let's try and focus the camera. I don't know if it's focusing or not, but hey, you get the idea. This is what it looks like. So good. Anyone who loves moi moi will absolutely love this as well. As you saw, pretty easy to make. Same steps as making moi moi, except that you add kale to it. And I imagine that this would work really well with spinach as well. You can try it with other greens, see if that works too. But yeah, I hope you guys give this recipe a try. Make sure you like and subscribe, leave a comment below. And if you do try this recipe, make sure that you tag me on Instagram at Vegan Nigerian, because I would love to see your creations. So yeah, have a wonderful week and I will catch you next time.
Oh, thanks so much for that, Tomi. And you'll be able to find the recipe to that on our website at the beginning of next week. If you have a little look there, if you want a step-by-step guide, you want to make the moi moi at home, then yeah, have a little look on our website and you will find a link to that. So that's it for this week. Just to say thanks so much to Tiff, to Sean, to Tomi, and indeed to Tom for his producing skills today. Keep looking at our channels and you will find out who's going to be on next month. We're going to be back on the 3rd Friday of October. But until then, thanks for watching and we'll see you soon. Stay safe, everyone.